And now for our guest of honor, John Paul Molfetta, $65 million agent, listing expert, American Idol contestant, and an all-around great guy. John Paul, JP. What do you prefer, John Paul or JP?
I prefer John Paul, but JP, like I'm fine with JP. What I can't do is John because that's my father's name, and that just never seems natural to me. But John Paul or JP, I'm easy.
I do both. They're interchangeable in my world, but now I've never asked you which one do you prefer. So now we know.
Here we
So
are.
I know. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how long have you been in real estate?
I got licensed in September of '05, so we're about, what, 18 and a half years now. I will never forget coming in and planning to crush, year one. Oh my God, I had spiky hair and like a little goatee action that was still transitioning out of my music world. And I could remember my manager at the time said to me, because I was like, boss, I'm out here hustling like crazy. I'm showing and deals were hard. And that market was in transition. And she said, oh, don't worry, spring is coming. Spring is coming. I called her back in the spring of 2015, which was 10 years later. I was like, hey, boss, I just want to let you know spring is finally here. I was with a different company at the time, but that's how long it took. Those first 10 years were rough.
So you went from the music business into real estate. Why real estate?
The truth is, I had gone to college for like pre-med chem, like at Boston College. I was a big brainiac when it came to that. And then music took me away from that, and I just felt like I needed to catch up in something. I love architecture. I love people. I love interior design. And I just thought if I work really hard at something else that I love, uh, maybe I realize some money a little more easily than it would be in the music industry. That's what happened.
And you've said love about real estate a couple times already. What do you love most about real estate?
I love the flexibility that it gives me. I don't know, maybe most of us are like this, but I am a bit of that. Yes, I have the OCD, but the ADD, like I am always go, go, go. Real estate allows me to transition. So there's so many facets of it, especially when you're first starting out. You're responsible for marketing. You're doing all of the things that I do. So if I'm in my creative head, I'm editing photos or I'm writing descriptions or I'm working on a marketing piece. If I'm in my analytical head, then I'm worrying about how I'm going to craft an email for inspection items or what I'm going to do to properly negotiate or prepare for a market analysis. So it allows me to kind of use the many facets of my brain that are always on overdrive here. And I never feel kind of like pigeonholed or stuck behind a desk or anything like that.
Um, and I might jump around a little bit, but let's just first start with what was your first year in real estate, your volume, which waiting for spring, and what was your best year?
First year, I remember making like, I don't know, 35 or 36,000. So what was that, 1.5 million? I don't know what that, it was two. Remember, we got paid 2.5% back then. So it was probably that one. And I could remember someone saying to me, the goal is your first goal, JP, should be one a month. And I just remember that feeling like such a daunting number, right? And now it's like if we're not doing one a week, it is crazy. So the year that we had, the first year was like 1.5 million. The best year was 2022. That was 65 million.
So, and I want to get into your team structure because I know you have a team, but and I think you've spoken to this a little bit already, but what does your typical day look like?
So I'm a morning person. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that I love a good sunrise. So I get up now probably around 5. That's when the alarm goes off, 5 a.m. every day. I'm out of bed by 5:30. I'm at the gym by 6. If I'm not at the gym, it's just because I'm sore, so I'm probably just doing some paperwork by that time. But I like to get some me time in the early morning when I know the phone's not going to ring. So we do that, get the kid off to school. I would say that I'm in an office or in front of a computer and fed with my coffee, right? Because everyone has a different 9 o'clock, right? Some people's coffee breaks are they're 9, then it's 10. And I need to be at a desk functioning by 8:30. And then I'm going through the day. And I'd like to say that I'm committed to a fully time blocked calendar. Anyone who's coached will tell you, from 9 to 11:30, you're doing your lead gen or your follow-up, 11:30 to 12, whatever calls came in during that time that you didn't pick up. And then you're taking your appointments in the afternoon. I'm at a point now where that phone is never not ringing, where appointments are scheduled. So I'm booked in advance enough where I would say it depends on the day. But I'll go really hard at the business from 8:30 to 6 or 6:30 and try and carve out about an hour or 2 hours of family time at that point, and then probably get back in front of the computer maybe with the TV on or some music on at the end of the day. That's the sad reality of where I am today.
And is that a 7 day a week, 7 days a week?
It is for certain 6. I will tell you on the weekends, I will absolutely carve out like for example, Saturday, I typically will work only a half a day. I will commit to that. So if I'm working in the morning, I'm not working in the afternoon and vice versa. And pretty much for Sunday, I try to do that as well.
So we're going to talk a little bit about your team. Tell us how you built the team. How did that happen? Like at what point in your career did you start building the team? What does it look like? And what is your philosophy for your team?
So let's answer the easy part first, which is how we started to build. You will get to a point as your business grows where you realize there are not enough hours in the day and you're missing business opportunities because you're stuck doing compliance things like paperwork or those other things that come with every deal that you do. And so the second that you feel exhausted, that's really what happened. I was like, I just can't do it anymore. You pull the trigger. And I say it that way because we struggle so hard with letting go of that money, right? You struggle so hard with saying, I don't know if I'm ready for that hire yet. If you're a great way to monitor what that looks like to you is you should know how much money you're paying in taxes. And if that amount of money hurts, right? If you're writing those checks, it's time to hire an admin. It's time to take some of the money that you would give to the government and allocate it to your business. So if it's a pain thing for you and not a preparedness thing, you'll work through the pain of allocating your money for you as opposed to the government. And if it's a pleasure thing where you're saying, the moment I get to a certain volume, for me, I think it was 10 million. I knew that I was gonna hire an admin. And then I wasn't ready to hire an admin full-time, at least I didn't think I was. So I started her part-time. And then I graduated her into as full-time as she would give me, which was between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And then she wouldn't give me any more. And as my business grew, I needed more. So then I was like, forget it. I'll just hire another full-time admin. And so now and that's the order in which you're supposed to hire according to MREA is one admin, get them part-time, then get them to full-time, then start realizing how your business grows because you're properly leveraging your skill set. Then a second admin. I went right to a full-time admin. So I didn't do a part-time hire. I was like, we have a 10 to 3, let's go another 9 to 5. And there are times when you'll feel like I might be paying more than I need to. But the greatest thing about that is you're prepared when you get busy. You're prepared for your busy season. You can maintain quality control when you're busy. So you're saving for it. You just, I knew that my business bank account had grown to a certain level. And I knew that if I wrote one check, I could hire that second admin. And that's what I wound up doing. I didn't write one check, but I was like, there's the money for it. Let's do it. And I saw the business grow again. And then there was a need for buyer agents, right? And so one by one, I started to introduce buyer agents. Hire one, hire two.
So
As
what's
for
your
the
team
third
look
one,
like now? Tell us the team structure now.
hire, fire, hire, fire. Sadly, and I am actually looking for buyer agents. I have one full-time buyer agent, and I have like 3 part-time buyer agents. So I would love nothing more than to work with someone or help someone succeed who's willing to work full-time in the business, because I already have the part-timers. I really am looking for some more full-time. And then I just hired a marketing company. So that's the full scope. 2
So
admins.
yeah, 2 admins, marketing, and then the buyer's agents. So how much, so for the agents on this call that don't know you, you do your business in New York and New Jersey. So
Correct.
are you looking for a duly licensed buyer's agent? Just putting it out there now who's
Yeah,
listening.
so I was focused on that's really all I wanted were people who were licensed in both, because I do have a large concentration in New York and we're building back the Jersey business. But at this point, I would be open for either state, New York or New Jersey, and look to hire from there, or look to get them licensed in the other state as they continue to commit to the team.
And then interestingly enough, you do a lot of commercial business too.
Yeah, that's just a product of when I got in the business. Because if you got in the business in 05, by 08, you were ready to jump. You were you were done. And so I needed something to kind of soften or distract from the emotional process, because sellers were going through it. A lot of sellers were just like, I'm so underwater, I can't do this. The world is not good. And so I said, let me learn a little more about commercial. My older brother works for Colliers out west. He does industrial and land development. And I was like, let me introduce another arm of my business, right? They say you're supposed to have 5 arms for your business, and that just wound up being one of them for me.
And it is true. And we're back into that emotional market now. So the good thing about commercial is that it's a business decision.
That's right.
It's cap rate, it's whatever. So it's sort of nice to add that silo to your business.
Yeah,
Um,
and just so you know, like I didn't just decide to do it. I went for my CCIM designation. Like I flew to Colorado, I flew to Orlando. I took it very seriously and kind of really building my skill set and my knowledge of that so I can intelligently talk about it. I just didn't say, okay, I'm going to do this.
no, it's a very difficult business to
Yeah,
learn,
it's dog eat dog. You have to know your stuff or you'll get eaten alive.
and they don't take you seriously unless you know your stuff. So what are you doing differently now in this low inventory market besides selling commercial real estate? And you could tell us how that business is too.
Mhm.
Versus a typical market. This is a different market, and it's going to get more different as we go on. But what are you doing differently?
It's an interesting question, and I'm just going to kind of go. I want to return to the like the early market, the early COVID market. There was a mortgage broker that said to me, call your family up, or sit down with your wife and your daughter and let them know that the world is about to go crazy for the next 2 years, 3 years, and that you're going to be in more demand than you expect. And if you can't commit to that, you're going to miss a huge opportunity, because these waves don't present themselves often. And so I knew early when people weren't showing homes, I was ready to be out there and commit to it. And I worked really hard. And I start with that because that, like anything, whether it's sports or business, you have to build your stamina, right? This business will take its emotional toll on you, and you have to be conditioned to work harder and smarter and longer sometimes. So what here in this market, I've committed to less balance. That's the truth, right? I know I'm going to need to work harder to put maybe not even all of the deals together that we once did, but at least to get closer to that number that has created comfort for me, right? And excitement for me is you get a certain amount of money in the bank every year and you get motivated. You're like, I want it again. I want to do this again. So the first thing is to be committed to the cause. Know that you may have to work harder to make the same amount of money. Second thing, like anything, is the world is changing, right? Technology has changed real estate. I mean, I'm not even, and I know this is a question for later, I'm not even leveraging AI outside of maybe description writing and maybe some marketing techniques, you know, some social media stuff. But looking at that panel that we did last week was like blown away of the things that you can really do. What I am doing is, though, getting much more comfortable leveraging technology. I feel like so many of us have a mental block on learning anything new. You have to get over that. You have to get through that kind of pain point of learning and just dive in and do it. Let me see. I took notes on this answer, I remember. Oh, here's another thing. This is what I'm telling my agents. If you're not busy, and I've gotten calls from a lot of agents that say they're not as busy as they want to be. We're very lucky to have this influx of business. Get prepared. And here's what I mean by that. If you have time on your hands and you are not an expert at command or just drip campaigns or just operating within a CRM, because it is so difficult to be disciplined within a CRM, all of this time that you may or may not have on your hands, you should really be committing to getting great at your craft, right? What do they say? I don't say it, but success occurs when opportunity meets preparation, right? Or preparedness. You may get the opportunity in this market, and trust me, there's less opportunity. So if you're not prepared for it, you've missed it. And that is a big thing that we're doing that I took on this year. Because we didn't do the volume last year that we did 2 years ago. I said to my team, I will commit to training you once a week, 45 minutes to an hour. We will role play. We will go over questioning. We will do all of the things that I've gotten to do over the last 18 and a half years to help you kind of jumpstart your skill set. I promise you, when you're showing a home or you're meeting with a seller, if you're not asking the right questions, they're more than likely not committed to you. They're not going to commit to you. If you're meeting people at properties and you don't know everything about them, their family, their motivation, their timeline, all of the things that personalize the transaction, that where you are seeking empathy from them, right? You're asking the questions, you're seeking to understand. If you're doing that, then they're attaching to you. But if you're not doing that and you're just opening doors and talking about how pretty or ugly a home is, you're missing the mark. That's one of the things that I really am stressing in this market. Like, how do you convert higher? And you convert higher by being better. See, what else am I doing?
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, it's such a relationship business. And if you don't build that relationship, the relationship builds the trust. And that's how you get in, you get into transactions with people and they stay with you.
It's true. And I also think, like, not everyone is comfortable meeting a stranger and having a normal conversation. And what you quickly realize is that they're just people. Sometimes we meet some weird people, let's be honest, right? It's just the nature of the business. But for the most part, these are normal people with jobs looking for guidance. So be conversational, be comfortable. They sense when you're nervous, right? They know very much when you're nervous. So here's an example, and I know I'm talking a lot, but it's
okay. That's why we have you on. They don't want to hear me.
Here's an example. So one of my buyer agents, he got a great lead. He got $1.5 million lead, and he was psyched, and it was in his backyard. And he's newer, and he was like, JP, would you come with me to this? I'm a little nervous. And normally I would say, absolutely, I'll be there. I had a very important appointment and I couldn't be there for him. So I was like, how are we going to make you comfortable? So the first thing that you're going to do, it was the following day. I want you to research every sale that is $250,000. It was a luxury deal. So $250,000 less, $250,000 more, specifically in this area. I want you to print those sheets out, and I want you to take notes on every listing that's sold and anything that's it's a competitor. And I want you to know that when you go there, if that person asks you a question about the house that's sold down the block or the one that's on the market, that you are confident enough to answer anything that they could ask you. So that's the first part. The second part, which is going to seem very mundane, drive to the property so you know where it is, because there is nothing more stressful than your GPS not working properly. And you're like, this was in Nyack. The streets are very windy. It's difficult there. So I was like, you have to know where it is. That's the first thing. You get there early and you're well dressed and you're prepared with knowledge. You won't be nervous. In fact, you'll be comfortable. You'll be confident. They'll sense it, and you'll make the connection. Most people won't do that. They won't be able to say, hey, man, if you're interested in this, I've already pulled the comps for you. I'm going to leave them with you here. And I'll email them to you as soon as I get in the car, because I sent myself the email. That person trusts you so much more than the last person that opened a door for them. Okay.
It's just, no, but it's basic, but if we go the extra mile and we do go prepared, and there was one nugget in there about being professionally dressing up 100%. Well, we're professionals. How we look is how they're going to respect us. So important.
You said it, Colleen. That's one of the things that I live by is, and my team understands this, is we go the extra mile, right? They say, Zig Ziglar said it, but I always repeat it. He said, there's very little traffic on the extra mile.
It's true.
It's true. Very few people do it. Be different, be better. Make sure you go there. All right, next. Let's see. What's your next question for me? Well, send it to me.
Sort of want to ask, well, I'm jumping around, but I'm a little ADD, as most real estate agents are.
Mm-hmm. We all are.
Yeah. A little bit about how you're lead generating now, because I think everybody wants to know, how do you get those leads?
You'll hear enough top agents talk to know that everyone has their own method, right? I know a team that cold calls and door knocks neighborhoods, right? I know another team that pulls ads in a local paper to talk about the inventory that they don't even have, but that they'll get for people, right? There are other people who will identify the areas that they want to serve and volunteer within those communities. Me, I love people, so I know that my strength is to be forward-facing. I do get a lot of direct-to-agent referrals, and I think that you get that by showing up, looking professional, being informed, following up with those agents, being grateful for the business that they give you. But another way that I do it, I'm in my community. Like, I make a point. I serve basically two markets, right? The Mahwah and Suffern markets are where I really want to grow my business. And consciously, I volunteer or donate money, right? Maybe you don't want to donate money. Maybe you don't have the money to donate. So you volunteer in the areas where you feel you'll get business. And hopefully some of those areas you do have a genuine love for. Like whether it be education or that be music or sports, hopefully you can find something where you volunteer for that. But sometimes you're really being there to be purposeful, right? Like, I'm on the zoning board for Mahwah. Yes, I love construction, but do I love spending 3 to 4 hours on a Wednesday night twice a month from 7:30 to sometimes 11 p.m.? No. Right? Like that. I don't, but I also know that by me being informed of what's going on in that community, when someone talks about, hey, did you hear? I'm like, oh, not only did I hear, I voted on it. You need to be in the places that you want to be. You want to serve a luxury market. I love what DJ Tenhogue talks about. He gets his suits tailored. He hangs out at the tailor shop, right? Someone else loves to play golf. They hang out at the country club or the tent. There's a million ways for you to generate business. The thing is, In the circle that you're in, do they think of you as the real estate person, right? Are you that person, or are you just the friend, right? I know plenty of secret agents. That's what I call some of my team members are secret agents. No one knows they do real estate. They're not posting on social. They feel like it's a brag, right? If you feel like it's a brag, then you're in the wrong business, right? Be an admin for someone. Be forward facing.
And well, but everything that you do, even just to prepare for that listing presentation, which everybody is in suspense to know if he got it or not.
Which one?
Oh, was it a showing? The showing that you couldn't go to with your
Oh
fire
yeah,
safety?
it was a showing. He is showing that person regularly. The answer to that is absolutely. If they didn't like those houses, but here's a perfect example. And this is what I love most. Like buyer agents say, well, how do I win? Here's how you win. You send them the property. You let them know that you're the one that has the skill set to identify the better property. If you've shown up to a house from a lead and they don't like it, there's a reason they don't like it, because they can't see how you see homes. They haven't been in hundreds of homes to know that cape without the dormer on top is tight on the bedrooms and is probably a 7.5-foot ceiling as opposed to 8. And there's no reason for us to waste our time going there. And the first time they're like, well, I want to see it anyway. And you're like, okay. And then you remind them, you see how we spoke about this over the phone? And all of a sudden you're building trust and you're building rapport. And then they're like, you're going to do it. You're going to find it for us. I know. Of course I'm going to do it.
Okay. Talk about the elephant in the room. Have the issues around buyer compensation changed the way your team is doing business? And are you hearing any talk about it with your clients, buyers?
To answer the question directly now, no. Right now, it has not changed for us. Okay. I think we're doing another hearing in July or something when it becomes more official.
Well, it's the earliest it'll be official if everything goes smoothly, and I have a feeling it will go through, will be July. It could be even further pushed down the road than that. So it's not something that, we need to worry about at this moment. But on the other hand, the media has made it bigger than, well, actually it's the things that are being said are so wacky and
I agree with that. I feel like it's a bit, for our area, there's so much competition here already. Like, I don't really feel that we had a lot of fixed pricing issues here. Maybe there are other pocket neighborhoods that feel that way, but not for me. I won't know how we're going to handle it until I kind of get on some listing appointments and see if a seller pushes back hard on me, because I do think that anyone who's taking listings now, this is a part of my everyday pitch when I'm in front of a seller, is that I'm great at creating leverage for you. Look, certain sellers think, well, I can just list it myself and save on the commission. And I tell the story. I'm like, yeah, you absolutely can do that. In fact, I have about 3 examples of my clients, commercial clients, who decided to do that. One residential, but who saved on an $80,000 commission. And then 30 days later, the buyer flipped that property for $200,000 more. And so, yeah, congrats, you saved the 80 grand, but you left 100 and whatever 30 on the table. And so here we are. So for me, the conversations that I'll be having with sellers is, yes, there's an opportunity to possibly negotiate buyer compensation, but will we create the same leverage? And will that net you the most money? We don't know that answer yet. And I don't want to pretend to say that I know.
And I think that's such great advice. The agents are coming to me and it's at a time where I just have to say, I don't know. We just don't know yet. As soon as we find out, you'll be the first to know. But everything we just don't know what it's going to look like.
I'll remember in 2007 when interest rates dropped, and everyone in the entire real estate community was like, you better tell your buyers to buy now before interest rates go up again, because they're going to go up again. And then they went down for 10, 15 years. And I'm like, you don't know anything. You don't know until you know. So that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. And I said to somebody today, if somebody tells you they know, they're lying. They're lying. It's like the weatherman. They always say, oh, it's going to be raining today and the sun is shining. They don't know. They don't. Let's be honest. So I think, offering, and one of the questions was to offer a tangible piece of advice to a new agent, a capper, team, but I think you covered those just on the way, everything that we've spoken about so far. I think people want
You
to
know what
know
I do
about
feel like though? Someone's asking that question, like,
what.
uh, what are we doing to help? Some of the things that you could work on is your branding, right? I feel like this is so much more a thing now than it was when we first started, right? It was always company branding, but you want to really feel like you're personalized in the transaction. So do you have, if you find your business is tailored for more buyers than sellers, do you have a nice buyer presentation that's customized to you? Have you put down your qualifying questionnaire so that you're reminded of what you would like to ask someone when you meet with them, or if you take the time to consult with them? Have you done all of those little things to prepare you for the opportunity? I think that is one of the, you were asking me earlier, and I'm just looking at my notes because we take notes as we do these things, right? That would be something that I would really encourage people to do is focus on you as your brand, right? Focus on your pitch so that you're ready. Okay, I'm sorry. Go to the next question.
No. And I'm going to put a plug in for Value Squared. I took it yesterday live and it was just amazing, but it's going to be on Zoom again, March 26th, and then 2 more dates after that. I think the one on the 26th is with Gary Keller. That spoke to all of this. If you want to know, how can I get ready? How can I show my value? Just block off that 1 to 4 on the 26th, and it was one of the best classes I've ever taken. And every time we take it, it has a different instructor. You're going to learn something a little different. So you did speak a lot, and people are asking about social media, and we'll probably just answer this question, and then people will have a lot
Sure,
of
you tell me.
agents will
What's
have
the
a lot of
question?
questions. But what about your social media? How you keep mentioning that? How much time do you spend on it? Who does it for you? What does it look like?
You know what? I'm just opening up that chat now so that I can see it. Okay. Who was doing my social media? So this is actually one of my pain points, one of my frustrations. So in the beginning, I was doing it and really getting things to look and feel the way I wanted them to. And then I asked one of my admins to do it for me. One said she doesn't do anything creative. Okay, so she was off the table. That was my lead admin. Then my other admin said that she would do it. And then I realized that her talents were not in creating something visually appealing to me because I'm hypercritical of that, right? And so then I hired another company that did a nice job preparing it. But I realized that it was stock, and it was basically, sometimes you'd click on a link and it would go to another realtor's page. And so you learn that doesn't work. I've since hired the company that runs my website, which is Luxury Presence, to begin a social media campaign for me. Okay, so if you don't have the money to do it and it's not cheap, here's what I would tell you to do. Get good with video. So you can create these little videos on Instagram, which is great. I use something because I'm not an Apple user for real estate. I use a software called InShot. I find that is the best app for kind of creating my social media content, right? You're using templates for reels on Instagram. So if you're looking at the most played or watched reels, that's another way to kind of create awareness because it gets fed into people's into their feeds. It's ridiculous, right? It gets pushed into their feed, and that allows your content to go up. And we have a lot of great agents in our company that do this. You have to mix, and here's about getting comfortable in front of the camera. You have to mix the personal part with the professional part. Okay, there's a realtor that I follow. I don't know how she came to me, but she's adorable. Okay. She's in Utah. Her name is Utah Real Estate Page or something like that. She does, to me, the greatest job about the professional part and blending her family. For me, because I like that kind of sleek luxury look. And that's kind of what my goal is. She's talks about skiing with her family, how her husband busts her chops. It's like a beautiful blend of being vulnerable and being untouchable, right? Or being vulnerable and being professional, personal. So I think to win and to create conversation around you, you have to show people that you are a person and you're not just listed, just sold. Here's what's sold in the market for the week. I do a lot of food reviews, right? Like I love to eat and I love to drink, right? And so I'll go out, and when I'm out, I'm just like, you have to check this place out, right? I know that I am a source for people. Like if I'm there, I get 15 calls from my friends. When I went to Valley Rock in the winter, right? They were like, where is this place and when are you taking us, right? So now we're not talking real estate, but we're talking. We're top of mind, and that's why you do it. And you have to be comfortable with some of your friends busting your chops. I
I
get
always like
this.
to see what you're cooking. You do
Okay,
that. You do a
right?
great job doing that. Yeah.
I'll get people that will call me and they'll be like, good morning, it's John Paul from the Molfetta team. Like I gotta take it. I take it. It is what it is. It comes to the territory. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there.
And when you do mix it up, when you finally do meet these people face to face, they feel like they already know you. It's like, oh, like almost like they want to hug you because you're not a
100%.
stranger to them.
And this is sales, right? So you have to be open. If you're not open, go into REO. Go into short sales and REO, like real, this is it. We followed up, we made the phone call, we gave them notice. That's for you. But if you're going to be a part of your community and build your business organically, you've got to be approachable. You've got to be open.
So we're going to go to questions because I know a lot of people want to ask you, but if I don't ask this question, my boss is not going to, I know he wants to hear. What do you, what do you like best about KW and VCP? And then you can go to questions.
I actually love this question because I worked for a different Keller Williams.
I know.
And the cap was lower there. Okay, it was. And so why, and it was probably closer, or not really, but where more of my business was in New York, right? And wasn't building my Jersey business as much yet at that time. This company is so supportive. When you want the help, they are here for us, right? And this is, let me say this. This is not a plug because this question is posed to me, but I have offered this and recruited many agents out because of this. When I first came to the company, I had a listing. My signs were not in. The team leader at the time drove my sign, thus a sign, to my house.
Okay, yeah.
I'll never forget it. When I have a problem with a deal or I'm trying to structure something, always there for advice. When I wanted to go to Joanne about questions about money or how this can be allocated, like always available, and not just available, but informed. We don't realize, I guess I can't talk to the other offices, but my office, Colleen started with this office, by the way, is a gangster office. Everyone is a rock star in their position. No, seriously, they're all rock stars. Like Ellie is always with a smile when I walk in. Joanna is always there, informed. Nagam, Maxine, what she did for my team the other day, showing us better ways to use those smart plans and those drip campaigns. So you have to be willing to learn and use the resources. If you don't need the resources, you do need them. So if you don't need them, then you don't know what you're doing.
And guys, you ask. We can't read what you need. Come to us. We're here for you. Reach out. Connie, unmute yourself.
Yep. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, John, for your presentation. John, I have two questions. First, what is the most effective marketing tool that you're using currently, and what are the returns? And second question is, I'm having some issues that my buyers are not loyal I see they work at the same time with 3-4 different agents. So question is how I can make them loyal and how I can provide them the best service. Thanks so much.
Great question. I'm going to start with your last question. The only way that you get someone to be loyal to you is for them to believe that you offer more value than the other person that they spoke to. And this is very hard for buyer agents in this market, especially if you've lost 3 or 4 offers for someone. And I will just tell you this, if you've lost 3 or 4 offers for someone, you need to ask yourself the question, why? If it's a financial thing, you should know why, right? You should have asked them that question. To create loyalty with buyers, you do the things that we spoke about. You look at their search every day and you send them the properties that you think are good. You look at their search every day and you tell them the properties that you think are garbage because they want to know that you think the property is overpriced or you think that, like this is what I tell, you got nothing to say to your buyer for the week? Call them up and be like, I looked through your search. Nothing but garbage. I am sorry. Here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to find out, if you're working with them a long time, we're going to find out where you want to be. And I'm personally going to send a direct mailer into that neighborhood to try to get the property for you before it comes to market. I don't care if you don't send it. Tell them you're going to send it. Make them think that you're working for them. Not being so real. You have to make them think that you're doing more for them than someone else. Okay, that's the first part. That was the second part. What was the first part?
Which social media are you using marketing?
What's the marketing getting me my best returns? I don't want to admit this, okay? Zillow gives me my best return. Okay, now, is it a dollar for dollar best return? No, right? The dollar for dollar best return is my sphere, right? And that comes to me, but it took about 5 years for my sphere to be referring business. So if you don't have 5 years and you have to figure something else out. I volunteered, I'm at the chamber, I'm at the zoning board, I'm at everything that I can do. I coach soccer for my kid, I'm in front of people. So that's a great thing. But I get more leads right now, just, I don't know why, from that source. And we're not converting. Let me just be very clear here. The best teams convert paid for leads or online leads at like 6%, 6.5%. The average online lead converts at about 4% or 4.5%. I want you to put that into perspective. If you're physically paying for leads up front, that's a scary number. The average team is at a 4.5%. The better teams, 6.5, maybe 7.5. Not really. That's when you're generating lead flow. And we are, like, I am overwhelmed with leads right now. That's why I'm looking for agents. I'm going to plug that one more time. Okay. And I will teach you how to convert better, but that is the truth.
Sell an email in the chat, just in case anybody wants to reach out to John Paul.
You can call me at either number, Jersey or New York. They both ring the cell phone the same, okay?
All right, let's go to Moshe. Want to unmute yourself?
Hi, John. How are you?
Is this Moshe Lefkowitz?
Yes, it is.
What's that? So, is your question, how do we build a brand?
Yes, I wanted to know, how do you build a brand specifically for buyers agents? And besides social media, how do you build a brand? What can you offer from a team to a potential buyer? What type of, I guess, ideas or branding? How do you brand for
That's a loaded
buyers
question because you asked 2 questions. So for the team aspect of it, and you can, if you don't have a team and you're not on a team, you could leverage the company. If you're not on a team or you don't have a team, you're asking for value on how you can push that onto a buyer. You can leverage the pure size of Keller Williams. So I would say that you can I would tell someone, look, we have the largest agent count in the area. We have the top teams in the area. what does that do for you? That allows you kind of an early access on inventory. Like we'll know if something is coming. Oftentimes we have a thread where people say, I'm bringing this to market. If anyone has anyone, let me know. You're telling the story, right? They don't know what's happening. You have to tell your story. So this is what we do. I'm happy to get you in on those things. We also have people who are circle prospecting neighborhoods. It's another thing that we do. If there's a place that you want to be, we pick up the phone and we'll call for you, so you don't have to do the legwork. You have to tell your story. Now, in terms of when I think of branding, I actually really like the question in the sense that I always think of branding as the visual presentation, but he's talking about the value add, the value proposition. So you write down those 5 things on how you can help someone. You get really good at being able to explain it, and that's your value prop. That's how you're going to separate yourself. I gave you 3 of them just here.
I mean, what can you offer in specific when you, I mean, if somebody is gonna in the future, there's gonna be like you're gonna have to sign a piece of paper that only you could represent them, so for them, right? Only you could represent them. So how will you actually? Why should this guy come?
I'm going to tell you how you won't do it. Okay. Hi, I'm Moshe Lefkowitz from Keller Williams. In order for me to show you property, I really need to sit down with you and have you sign this buyer agency agreement. That's how you'll never do it. Okay.
About that, just let me stop for you for 1 second. You're asking them to pay you. Would you pay somebody with that kind of an introduction? They don't know you. Why are they
the only way that you'll get people to commit to you is if you're setting up a real consult. Okay. And I don't recommend it on the first time, right? And I tell my buyers, you first book the appointment. They want to see a property, no objection. Yes, I will book the appointment. Used to be, I can remember, you don't take anyone out unless you qualify them first.
Well, the only thing is going down in our new world in July, after post July, we can't
won't be allowed to. I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. This is how I do it from now to July. The first thing you do is you book the appointment and avoid the negative, because the negative is, oh, you want to see this property? Do you have a pre-approval? Because I'm assuming that you don't, because you called me to see it and you must not be able to afford it, because that's what asking for the pre-approval first tells someone. But create the trust. You know what? I'm happy to do that. What time is going to work for you? Sure, I'll get in touch with the listing agent and do it. So while we're looking for this, this is one of the lines I love to use, and it's corny, but it's fun. How long have you been looking? Most people will be like, oh my God, I've been looking for a year, or I've been looking for 18 months. And I always use this line. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, that's a problem. But congratulations, today you finally met the right agent, right? Or I'll tell them like, that's because you've been looking. This is what I do normally say. I say, actually, you've been looking because you haven't found the right agent. And then I say, congratulations, today's your lucky day, right? And it makes them laugh and they think you're silly, and you create kind of this normal rapport with someone. And then you say to them, what are you looking for that's been so difficult? Now you start to get into their motivation, right? Once you do that and you find the things that matter to them, my wife is pregnant, we got to get into a good school district, whatever it is, find out that those things, get them to align with you and you align with them. and then discuss location. Because here's another thing, a way that you can create some confidence with them. Hey, I'm going to show you the Rockland County market, but oftentimes people are looking in different areas. Is there any other area that you're looking in where I could recommend you a top agent? Because ultimately, if you're going through this process, I want to make sure that it's efficient for you. And I'm connected with all the top agents. I don't want you to waste your time, or worse, find someone who's really not qualified to be showing you. Immediately, they don't think that you're after the sale, that you're just looking to help them. And that's it. That's it. Now you're creating rapport, and then you have to build from that.
And you have to, it also, you're creating trust. You need to ask questions and listen. Just don't ask the questions to ask the questions. Listen and follow up with maybe a why. That's it.
But this is the This is a
All right, so
buyer
we're
reaching out to you.
closing in on 3, and I think we have a couple other questions. I hate to cut you short, Moisha, but
Gani had some questions too.
Connie already asked. Oh, listen, we can stay on. That's up to you.
What happened? So we're moving on to the next person?
There, yeah, I guess.
Look at
they're not-
Anthony G. He's so right. We were in the same office.
Yeah.
Anthony G and I both came over here, and it's a different world. It is a different world.
All right, then. So it's an hour went by like that.
Yeah. It says to download the app, just visit. Oh, there it is.
I
back-
say go back to
Come on.
Oh my God, Anand, I see this comment. Please feel free to do the whole interview in an accent. I'll do it for you if you love it. I'll be happy to do it for you. Is he left? Is he gone?
Well, he's off camera.
All right, so we're good with questions? Here's the truth. You know, everyone who's still on this call is going to wonder about the specifics. Like, tell me specifically what you do to generate leads, right? If budget, the first thing I would do is create a budget. I know Joanna's going to do that. Create a budget. So for every sale that you get, put aside a marketing budget and don't spend it until you can do something with it. And what I mean by that is that you can do something for a year. Because if you do it for a month, it doesn't work, right? So generating business, here's a simple tip where you're calling them nuggets, right? If a property lists and in an area that you want, guess what? Someone else in that neighborhood is going to list. So call the neighborhood. Ask them if they've seen what listed, which means that you have to have a software that you can get these numbers, but okay. Ask them if they've seen a listing. Ask them if they're thinking about listing. Tell them that you had a buyer that didn't qualify or that lost out on that house. And that is one simple way. You know who does this the best in our company is David Jacoby. Boy, every listing I get, he calls the entire neighborhood, be like, so if they're listing in my company.
Fast.
What?
You got to jump on David's fast.
I don't do any of that, but that he does it. JP just listed a property in this neighborhood. Okay, let's go.
And you're the same team. You're in the same office.
That's right. That's right.
JP, before we jump off, Emily wants to know, you get up at 5 a.m. What time do you go to sleep?
Probably 10:30. You know, I don't need the full 8 hours. It's definitely not before 10:30. I can tell you that. And 5 a.m. is I'll say is a bitch. I mean, it's taken me like I used to be a 6 a.m., a natural riser, a 6 a.m. Like, I don't need an alarm. 5 a.m., I need the alarm.
All right. Well, thank you. This is fun.
Thank you, Colleen, and thank you, JP. You were amazing.
Thank
Both of
you. Look at Monica.
Um,
Can't get it today, Monica. Not today. There's no singing. I will do it. If we get the next happy hour, I will absolutely sing.
I want to
All
be
right.
invited to that one.
yeah, there you go. You want to hear him sing? Go to the next Valley Happy Hour.
I want to be there.
All right. On that note, have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, JP.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.